Touchdown with Aaron Masemola. On the bench with local legends. Your questions, your heroes.
Welcome to the Touchdown with Aaron Masemola. And yes, it is yet another opportunity for us to chat all things rugby, especially with the Currie Cup being the talk of the town at this very point in time. And of course, this weekend we are moving into the third round of the Currie Cup as well. And the Vodacom Bulls find themselves at the top of the log at this very point in time. A man from the Bulls who is joining me at this point in time is the assistant coach of the Vodacom Bulls, and his name is Joey Mongalo. Joey, sir, how are you doing this morning?
I'm very well this morning, Aaron. Thank you very much. How are you going?
I'm doing very, very well, Coach. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm certain that everybody within the Vodacom Bulls camp is smiling quite broadly, given the fact that you guys find yourselves at the top of the log at the moment, playing some phenomenal rugby. And of course, you do a lot of the work behind the scenes as well. For you as an assistant coach, how are you feeling about the performances that we've seen so far?
The word probably is encouraged. Really encouraged by the start so far. We didn't have much of a preseason, and we are quite a new coaching group and a playing group. So for the guys to apply the principles that we believe in such a short space of time is really encouraging. So even though the results are going our way, I think that's not necessarily the main focus. The main focus is to see the implementation of the stuff that we believe in, the way we see the Bulls going forward. So the fact that that stuff has been implemented and then we're getting the results as well is also very encouraging.
Definitely. You talk about encouraging, and I think for so many rugby players, and I mean sports players in general, you find yourself on the field, and you were a former player as well at the Bulls as well as at the Junior Springboks. Is it important, and is it possible for one to be a player and then to become a phenomenal coach as well?
Phenomenal is a big statement, so I'm not sure who you're referring to with that. We'll try to live up to that for sure. So I think the beauty about having played, it just gives you a context to coach into. It just helps to say, okay, I sort of get an idea of how he feels in that moment because I've been in it. But also, I think I almost want to debunk the concept that a coach must have been a player, because what happens is if you haven't played the game, you really learn that the tactical and technical side really well, because you haven't played it. You've got to say, okay, for example, if I'm passing, I've got to do A, B, C to get a pass right. Where I've played, that just happened naturally to me. So the fact that I have to know that I have to do ABC in order to execute a pass also makes great coaches. So if you look around the world, some of the best World Cup winning coaches were schoolmasters, which just shows you that there's a teaching element to coaching that makes great coaches. So I don't think necessarily you have to have played rugby to be a good rugby coach. I don't believe in that philosophy at all.
Definitely. And of course, you talk about the philosophy of rugby and how certain things come naturally to you. Leadership is such an important thing in any particular team or any particular structure and any particular endeavor that you're aiming to achieve. When we look at the leadership at the Vodacom Bulls, of course, many of us know the history of the Bulls, somewhat of a struggle over the past few years, not living up to the glory that we know that they could have lived. And then in 2020, we saw the introduction of the man called Jake White. How important has his leadership been in terms of just bringing the union to a sense of stability and now taking them to a place where they've now recently won their first trophy yet again, which was the Super Rugby Unlocked Trophy?
Aaron, you're speaking about a topic that's very close to my heart. Like I literally say that everything rises and falls on leadership. The quality thereof. So if you look at the current structures of the Bulls at the moment, so I don't know what's in their past, and I'm not speaking about that. I'm speaking to currently what I'm experiencing is that you've got a board in place that's appointed a CEO and appointed a head coach and a captain who are all aligned. As you can see the alignment from the office to the field. And then when you get onto the field, not just Dwayne as a fantastic captain, but he's got co-captains underneath him. We haven't called it that, but guys who are helping him lead the team. So if you just look at the leadership structure there, it's the right mix to get a pretty decent result. So it's just encouraging. And then just to go back to Jake himself, I mean, the guy's been coaching for 40 years. It's longer than I've been alive. So they just, I mean, experience is not everything, but it counts for something. So most of the pictures we see on a match day or at training is pictures he's seen before. And it's comforting to be able to be led by somebody with that vast experience. And also like winning experience, you know, he's got a good winning history. I think experience is a great thing, but if you've got experience of losing, that's also not fantastic fantastic, So if you've got a guy who's got experience but also winning experience, it's a massive privilege to be led by somebody like that.
Definitely. And I think you talk about winning and Jake White, when we think back to 2007, him lifting the Rugby World Cup with the Springboks as well, that's a memory that many South Africans will never forget. And of course, to touch on the Vodacom Blue Bulls at this very point in time, and you're currently a defensive coach as well, and you're involved in the defensive philosophy within the team as a whole. Looking at the points difference on the log at this point in time, there's a massive point difference of 115. How proud does that make you as a defensive coach? Because we know that the Bulls can definitely score points, but in terms of defending, that's a very important part of the game as well. And maybe the philosophy that you as a defensive coach have implemented at the Vodacom Bulls to just give a sense of stability to the defense and also emphasize the importance of playing a solid defensive structure.
Yeah, Aaron, thank you for that. Stats are good things, but not always fantastic to look into because you've got to interpret them in a certain way. But a broad overview is that that points difference doesn't reflect necessarily the attack or the defense. What it reflects is that a team that's cohesive, So for me, in the defensive department, what Russell Winter does with a forward affects our defense. So that relationship is important. What Nolas Murray does as a breakdown coach affects defense. So we have a good relationship. What Chris does on attack, if they lose the ball, how he tries to make sure that ball is killed also affects defense. So I don't look at those stats and say, wow, look how Joey's going as a defense coach, but rather look how the Vodacom Bulls product is leading to good defense. And then on the coaching itself, like I'm in clarity and simplicity. It's huge for me, not just in rugby, but in my life. So we literally have 3 basic principles that we run the defensive system on. So we use that to preview a game, review a game, training sessions. We just always go back to those 3 things. So whatever happens to us must always be aligned to one of those 3 principles, and that's what we live by. So yeah, ultimately, I think you can cap it under, we're just trying to keep it as simple as possible.
Definitely. Absolutely love that. Simplicity is the ultimate form of sophistication, they say as well. And in terms of looking at what lies ahead this weekend as we move into the 3rd round of the Currie Cup action that we are set to see as well, the Vodacom Bulls will be traveling away from home, taking on the Sharks. And previously in the Super Rugby Unlocked competition, we did see you dominate the Sharks with a scoreline of 41, and they just put 14 points on the board as well, and you were playing at the Loftus Stadium. In terms of you playing away from home now, what can we expect from this particular encounter? And of course, I'm certain that the Bulls will want to build on that winning momentum after recently having lifted a trophy as well.
Yep, for sure. But I think what we can take is, Aaron, history repeats itself. So if you can see the way we did so well against the Stormers up in Pretoria, and then how the reverse or the flip side of the fixture in Cape Town was a lot harder, I think you can expect something similar, that we got good reward up here in Pretoria, but when we go down there, that the Sharks are a proud union, proud coaching staff, proud players. So you can expect it to be obviously quite an arm wrestle, like a test match like rugby game. That they're quite a very good tactically kicking team with a structure based around that. So obviously we know what we need to get right in order to give ourselves the best opportunity to come away with a favorable performance that side. So I think you can probably expect like a really tough encounter, and we're not going to bluff ourselves. We'll expect that it to be like a test match. So we're looking forward to a really tough encounter.
Definitely. And of course, looking at this recent competition that was concluded, the Super Rugby Unlocked series, and now we move on to the Currie Cup as well. And what South African fans love to see is teams lifting trophies. And I know that you have lifted the trophy, the Currie Cup trophy yourself as a player as well. And now many South African fans are hoping that the Vodacom Bulls could possibly lift yet another trophy just to almost get back to the glory days. What is the possibilities, Coach, that we could see the Vodacom Bulls win 2 trophies this season?
So I think, one, obviously grateful for the first trophy that we've won, and we've put that behind us, but we're very thankful because all that does is just give you confidence as a group that you sort of know what it takes to win something. And that's very important because it's one thing to speak it, but to experience it is far more powerful. And then for the Currie Cup itself, I mean, like you've mentioned, the Colin Currie Cup is in round 3 of 7. So for us to think what's going to happen in semi-finals and finals is a bit probably premature, So for us, and I don't want to say the cliche, focus week by week, but the truth is we've got a match to win on Saturday. And if we can think next week we've got a match to win the next Saturday, then by the time we open our eyes on the 16th or the 23rd of January, then we can probably have the discussion again. So I think for us is just to make sure that we just keep doing what we've been doing. I think that's probably the most important part, that we don't complicate things, but we just keep doing what we've been doing the whole time.
Definitely. And of course, lastly, Coach, for us as the fans, we've had to witness the screen, possibly your cell phone, possibly a TV screen as well. For the players on the ground, on the field, how much of an impact has it been not having the supporters in the stadium as well?
Yeah, I think, I would start by saying we obviously value our supporters second to none. Like you said, people who live in Pretoria and have supported the Bulls for the longest time, that brand stays with them. It's really entrenched in their hearts, and we are very thankful for them as a support base. And I think the anthropologists, they say a human's best asset is the ability to adapt. So I think the players, the first couple of games would have been quite awkward with no crowds, and you miss the people and you want to hear the claps, and you want to, they build a massive atmosphere. But now I think it's something that the players have come to get used to, but not used to that. They're hoping that obviously changes at some point if the COVID regulations change. But we do miss it. We miss the atmosphere. The good thing from the coaching point is that the guys can actually hear your messages on the side of the field. So selfishly, on a coaching point of view, it's not the end of the world. But at the same time, we'd rather have the fans and the players not hear our messages on the side of the field.
Absolutely fantastic. Coach Joey, thank you so much for your time. And the one thing that I can tell you, for us as rugby fans, we would love to be in the stadium as soon as possible. And when you do lift the trophy, I think the moment is so special when you have your fans there as well to celebrate that moment with you. But of course, we wish you luck as you take on the Sharks this coming weekend, and you're playing away from home. So all the best of luck and good luck for the rest of the competition. Thank you so much for joining me, Coach Joey.
Absolute pleasure, Aaron. And thank you for the opportunity to chat to you and your listeners, and all the best to you guys. May you have a really good Christmas period with your families. Really enjoy that. And then may 2021 be a far better year for all of us. So thank you very much.
Touchdown with Aaron Masemola. On the bench with local legends. OFM Sport. The personalities behind the plays.